What up, y'all? Mike Banger in the building. From Miami, Florida. Cuban. Born in Hialeah. First generation after my family got here from Cuba. And soon after that, I think like before I was even 3, they moved down south to Miami. So I honestly don't even remember Hialeah much because I was like a baby, but I moved down to what they call like the Calle Ocho area, 8th Street. So that's really where I've been at my whole life. Calle Ocho, 8th Street. And I don't remember Hialeah because I was like 1 to 3 years old. But a lot of my family still lives there. So shout out to Hialeah. You know, Cuban shit. Rice and beans, arroz con pollo, croquetas, cafecito. That's pretty much a whole lot of Spanish and chancletas and coffee. My mom's crib in that hood in Calle Ocho was basically like a house party every day. Because we would be skating. I'd have a half pipe in the back. My room was like a home studio. The garage, my drums were set up in the garage, so there'd be like a band in the garage practicing, somebody in my room recording, editing something, someone in the back skateboarding. That was literally my house every day for like a good 15 years. First school I went to, where I started, like, what was it, kindergarten, like 1st grade up to like 6th grade, was actually a private school. A super Cuban private school down the block from my mom's crib. And I ain't really learned shit there, music wise or skateboarding wise, honestly. But I'm lying. It was there that I had a friend. It may have been like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I had a friend in that school who he got a drum set for Christmas. And I was at his house for Christmas, and he was playing with the shit he got for Christmas. And one of those things was a drum set. So I sat on the drum set, and he was playing with some other crap, and they had music playing. I think it was Michael Jackson playing. I think it was Michael Jackson's Dangerous album. And I sat on the dude's drum set that he got for Christmas, and I started playing it, and I caught like one of the beats on one of the Michael Jackson songs. And like I started matching everything. I didn't know what anything was, but I figured out like, oh, every time the speaker goes doom, 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 that's this one. So I started doing that, you know what I'm saying? And then I figured out what the snare was. Every time it goes, it's this one. And I figured out what the hat was. And like there I was doing the little pattern with the hat and the snare. And I'd never done that before, and it was on my friend's kit. And that was one day. That happened all in one day. And I never saw a drum set again until I was like in 6th or 7th grade. And then that's when I was older. So at that time, I wanted to join a rock band. I wanted to be in punk rock, hip hop. I wanted to do cool shit already. So I'm like, I want my drum set. And I was like 12 at that age. In the 90s, street skating was kind of like a thing. And I just kind of got into it in the street. I think I saw some kid trying to do a kickflip. And I was like, man, that's cool. He didn't land it. He was just trying to do a kickflip like for an hour in front of a school. And I went home and I started trying to do the same thing. And that's kind of how I started skating. I saw some kid on the street trying to kickflip. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And I've been skating ever since. I had built a half pipe in my backyard. So, and I was older already. I think I was like 25. I'm like, fuck it, I want to build a half pipe in the backyard. So I was skating heavy on a half pipe in the backyard with the drum set. We were recording songs in my room, and it was just a vibe, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like it was a vibe. And when I moved out, that vibe kind of disappeared. It's like I grew up and I had to start going do work, like yeah, with major labels and major studios and stuff, but like I couldn't just be home chilling, skateboarding, playing drums whenever I wanted to, writing whatever all day. Things kind of got serious after I moved out. So I guess I've been holding on to all that stuff ever since, trying to keep that skate spirit alive. Well, since I got the drum set, I was playing by myself in the garage. I had a couple bands. I had like a punk rock band, a hardcore band, and a hip hop band. And there was a dude down my block who played guitar, and he was in a Miami-Dade Community College recording course. So they gave him a couple hours to book in a studio, like for a school project. I was talking about this online on Twitter with DJ EFN the other day. He had tweeted something because he was on Drink Champs podcast, and he had mentioned something about that because I guess we grew up in the same area, and he was on the same shit. Like someone he knew had the Miami-Dade recording classes, so all the homies could get in on the project day and do a couple songs. So that's what I did. One of my homies got me in the studio for a Miami-Dade class to play drums. And as you can imagine, the drum set is like the hardest thing to mic up. So that's where it started. That's basically when I turned into an engineer that day. That's when I learned that this is even something that I can do. That there's a guy who has to even do all that, mic my drums up. That's when I learned every, piece of the drum has a mic. You pan them, the overheads and all that. All that I learned that day, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. I guess I'm gonna be an engineer. And it was the hardest thing to mic up too. It wasn't like one vocal, punching in and whatever, bouncing and we out with the beat. It was the hardest thing you could possibly mic. Like, the guitar ain't that hard, a vocal's not that hard. It's a drum. There were like 10 mics. So right off rip, I'm miking up the hardest thing you could possibly mic in the studio. And that's pretty much how I became an engineer. And then I started buying gear to record at home. I bought like a 002 with a Mac, and I started recording like that. But that's pretty much from drums I got into recording engineering after seeing someone mic up the set with like, I don't know how many mics it was, like 10 or 12 mics. Go towards engineering. It's probably not a good thing. It's probably a sad thing. It's the fact that I sucked at drums so bad. Like, I mean, you could probably talk to someone who knows me and they'll be like, he's pretty good. But like, if you talk to a real drummer, they're gonna be like, yeah, he's alright. So I started feeling that, and I'm like, man, I might not be built like to be a drummer like this guy or that guy. Like, I was comparing myself to some pretty badass dudes, and a lot of my friends are virtuoso musicians, and I'm not. So I started feeling that, and I'm like, maybe I could mic up everybody else. Since my band ain't popping off, you know what I'm saying? We don't got a deal. Nobody's paying me to play no drums, but I know how to mic them. And there's all these other drummers, there's all these other bands. Everybody want to rap. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll get into this engineering thing. And with the 002 already having the drum set and all the, knowledge of microphones more than the next guy who only knows about a vocal, I was able to build a little setup in the crib. And I started charging people to record out of my crib, out of my mom's crib. Charging people to go into my mom's house to record in my bedroom. I hid the mattress in the closet. I had a closet, and I would open it and slide the mattress in there. And that's where I would sleep. So you could walk in the room, it don't look like there's a bed in the room. And that's how I got into that shit. I didn't even know that recording engineering was a job title. Like, I just thought, oh, we're going to the studio, set up the mics, I'm the drummer. And then like a couple years passed, and I'm like, oh hell no, that's like a job. There's a salary? Sign me up. And I started emailing studios to intern for free. Because I didn't go to school. I didn't go to like Full Sail or SAE. I bought the equipment, the 002 and the mics, and I had the experience from miking up my own drums and editing drums really. And one studio in Hollywood accepted me, and from there I started building my resume, my professional career. I thought I made it that day. The day that I got a response from my internship email, I thought I made it that day. I was like one of the happiest days of my life because I must have emailed like 100 studios and nobody replied. And this one studio replied, Audacity Recording in Hollywood, Florida. And I thought I made it. I went over there and they signed me up to be an intern 1 day a week. So I would just show up to the studio 1 day a week, do everything they said, mostly vacuum, really. Vacuum, clean up, and during downtime, use the equipment, try to make music. They were nice enough to let me use the equipment, so I would make beats during downtime, and eventually they let me start getting sessions. It was mainly a voiceover post-production studio, so my boss was like, you got this, go ahead. All they're doing is recording dialogue, vocals, and you just gotta slide it on a 30-second music spot or whatever, doing commercials, and boom, and eventually he made me the head engineer of the spot, and I was doing all the post-production work. At the time, there wasn't much going on in Miami, I ain't gonna lie. We were on the tail end of the whole Trick Daddy Trina little era, and there wasn't much going on out here, if I'm not mistaken. So we were kind of like in limbo, Miami, in my opinion, at the time. Khaled was, I think, doing underground station, and everything that's now popping was just bubbling in the underground back then. So I was just trying to get in because I kind of saw, I didn't see where everything was going, but I knew we needed to go somewhere with this. Actually, it was my boy who's coming to Cypher on Sunday, Parable, who told me he saw online a classified ad. I think it was on Craigslist, bro, for PoBoy Records looking for interns. She's like, man, I just saw some weird posts on this thing in the studio. They looking for interns, and he shot me the number. I hit him up. They said pull up. I pulled up, and that's when I walked into PoBoy Records. Briscoe was there. Who else was there? Was Gunplay there? Gunplay may have been there. Chuck was there. I don't think E-Class was there. But Ross was recording out of there. Jackie O was just getting bubbling out of there. So that was my next move from the Hollywood spot to PoBoy. So I started basically recording everybody at PoBoy and producing for everybody at PoBoy. Briscoe, Jackie O, Ross, and I was their main engineer probably for like 2 or 3 years. And J-Rock was their producer that they had in-house. I was stepping all over J-Rock's toes. Shout out J-Rock. I would say I was pretty naive at the time. So, man, I was just rolling, bro. Trying to get in anywhere I fit in. I didn't know nothing about deals. I didn't know what anybody was getting paid. I didn't know what these record labels were paying no one. I didn't even know what other engineers were getting paid. I was there for free. I worked with all those people I just said for free. I ain't get paid not one time to do anything for all those people that I just said. Jackie O got the TVT deal, released her album. Timbaland was doing beats on her album. Who else did they have doing beats on her shit? I think Jazzy Fit. There was a lot of big producers coming around to try to get on her album. And that was kind of inspiring to me because I'm like, all right, like I'm close. I'm not like rubbing shoulders with them yet, but there they are. They're right there. I'm the intern pressing record for free. But like, it's right there. So like I was really just trying to get in that Timbo, Scott, Pharrell, Swiss, Lane, Bad, Jazzy Faye. Who else was popping at that time? I guess you could say Dre too, but I was just trying to get in that lane bad. So anytime Cool and Dre, they're inspiring. At the time they were around doing underground shit, and they got a couple big records, and I was like, all right, cool, it could happen. And I just kept it moving. But engineering wise in South Florida, Lou Diaz. You know Lou? Lou Diaz is probably my biggest engineering inspiration. Um, when I was working at PoBoy, he was mixing a lot of the records that they were putting out. Um, and I would sit in the back of the studio all night while he mixed it, and I would take the files. I would take them at the end of the night to wherever they needed to go, back to the PoBoy studios. But I would stay there the whole night just watching him. I might ask two or three questions the whole night, because I don't want to be on his ass. I don't want to like bother him. So I'm just like taking notes, watching him, like watching all the plugins he opens up, seeing where he does little things, and just watching him. There might be 2 or 3 questions that I might ask him every night or every session that we had, and that's it. And I would take them all home and just build off of that and watching him work and mix. So Lou Diaz, shout out to Lou Diaz and his brother Hugo. But he was the guy. Like every time like they knew they had a hit, be like, all right, call Lou, that's a hit. And Khaled was using him too. Still uses him to this day. I think he did I'm So Hood. I'm So Hood. He must have done did he do We Taking Over? I don't know if he did We Taking Over, but yeah, Lou Diaz and his brother too, and how they moved with Pitbull as well is a big inspiration, because Pitt's Cuban. He's from my area, more or less. He was going to a high school, like a rivaling high school to the one that I was at. So like to see a cat basically where I'm from get put on and do his thing like that, like they're a huge inspiration. Khaled was an inspiration. At the time he was 99 Jams on the air, and he would be spinning a lot of the records that I would like at the time. He would break a lot of songs too. You would hear him like run shit back, rewind shit, scream crazy like nobody else was screaming on the radio. That energy is contagious. You know what I'm saying? It's like the confidence level that's there. It's like just believing in your record even when no one else believes in that shit. Before it's even done, you're like, this is the best thing that's ever gonna happen, that's ever gonna touch your ears for all of eternity, for the rest of history. This is hip hop by definition. Like the way that energy is like, man, that shit is fun. It's fun because we all know it's a show. You know what I'm saying? But like it's fun. So Khaled, Lou Diaz, Ross is a huge inspiration. I'll say something about Ross. When I used to record Ross, when it was Triple C was, I believe, the name of his group. It was before Maybach and all that. I want to say he wasn't signed to anybody. He may have been on Slip and Slide Records briefly or something like that. But anyways, I was recording him in the studio, and he would come in with a suitcase, it was like a briefcase, little like an office kind of like bag. And one time he opened it up, and he's like, "Look, bro, we got this shit. I don't even know if I should be saying this shit. I probably should, because everybody should be on this type of bullshit. I don't even know if this exists anymore, because now it's playlists and streaming. But he had a list of like every radio station that he was interested in getting played on. He had it like printed out, and the contact of the staff that he wanted to get at, maybe like a program director as well. He just had like a list, like he printed them out. He looked for them, or I don't know how he found them, but he's like, "Look, man, we're gonna make this shit happen." So I'm watching this dude, and I like this music too. And low key, me and J Rock at PoBoy, we kind of both knew he was gonna pop. Like the record labels didn't. They were waiting for the buzzing song to come out, Hustling. But me and J-Rock low-key kind of knew he was going to pop. Because the shit he was doing in the studio was just dope. And it didn't sound like nobody else. And he was bringing cats from NY too. He would really like be into like some real hip-hop shit. But then he'll put out some down south shit. Like, he was well-rounded artist. And we all knew it was coming. But yeah, man, he would have the radio stations listed in his little case with the phone number of all the contacts, college radio stations. And I'm like, oh man, all right. And he probably did the footwork. I bet you he called all of them one by one his damn self. Maybe, I don't know, but he definitely had that shit. I ain't seen no one else in Miami since open up their briefcase and say, here, this is the list of every station we about to get played on, and this is how we gonna do it, and this is the boom boom boom, and we'll move like this. And at that time he had already done some shit with like Trick and Trina, so he probably already had a blueprint of like a touring situation and how to do features. He was ghostwriting for people at the time. I think he was ghostwriting for Diddy. So I'm like, bro, this dude's gonna pop, bro. I don't know how or what song's gonna do it, but he gonna pop. And he definitely did. And it was the stupidest song ever. It was a catchy, good song. Hustlin's a dope ass song, but if you know like how Ross could spit for real, like to hear him say 22 80 times and just go into some hustling, and we're like, yo, it's out of here. This is the one. Yeah, that's the one. It's the simple one sometimes that, and we were talking about that earlier too, the simplicity. And that was the one that got him out of here. Shout out Ross. Yeah, Scott Storch was out here on a run in the mid 2000s. It's basically headquartered out of Miami, so I'm hearing stories about this dude and like how he's working, and I'm hearing the songs come out too, and I'm watching him play, and I'm like, all right, this guy's dope. But I really like the fact that he wasn't using samples either. He was learning like how to play shit. I started doing the same thing. I stopped sampling and I started learning how to play keys because of Storch. I read that he learned how to play by ear and would just like practice like I don't know how many hours a day. So I kind of started doing the same shit. And at an older age though, so I probably never got as good as he did because he's probably doing it way younger. But yeah, Scott Storch was out here making noise. Huge inspiration. To be honest, this whole journey, every time I say like what happened next, it almost feels like a journey of a bunch of internships. Cause like I started at the Hollywood studio and I hit my limit. Like I hit the ceiling because there's a post-production studio. So it's not like I'm gonna get a major deal there and make a hit record. I'm gonna make a commercial and that's it. Here's your check. So I realized that. I'm like, all right, this is as far as I'm gonna get at this spot. So then I'm like, let me go intern at PoBoy. And I feel like I hit my ceiling there too. I'm like, all right, this is as far as I'm gonna get at this spot. I'm not gonna get, the hit single. They're gonna probably give it to these other guys that I just mentioned. Why would you give it to me if you got Timbo around? And I kept going. I'm like, all right, so I guess I gotta intern somewhere else and prove myself somewhere else. So that's what I was doing, man. I was just trying to prove myself and get in somewhere, working for free. So the next spot after PoBoy was Studio Center. Same run there. I'm like, all right, let me apply for an internship and see what opportunities they got here. So that's what I did, and they put me in the weekends. That was a crazy time in my life because during the day I would drive to Hollywood for the post-production job. At night, at about 5 o'clock, I would drive to PoBoy, which was in Hialeah. I'll be there till like 2 in the morning. Then I would actually drive back up to the Hollywood spot, sleep there to wake up and do my post-production job. And then when the weekend came around, I would drive to Miami Lakes and be at Studio Center. And then I think I would go sleep at my mom's crib when I was... So I was doing 3 studio jobs at the same time, and they were all basically internships, hardly getting paid at any of them. And that's where I met the Cash Money people at Studio Center, because Julie was recording there. I would in Studio Center. I was interning, so when they would come in, I would be at the front desk, and I would be playing my beats out of the laptop in the front desk. Well, no, they had an iMac. It was an iMac, so I load up I didn't even want to hear my beats. I just hit play. There's the car. Hopefully they ask, "What's that you're listening to?" And it happened like 2 or 3 times. And I think one of the people who messed with some of the beats was Currency. Currency at the time liked some of the beats. And then they just started kind of cycling through engineers. They just started cycling through them. Like, they started with this person, fired him, something happened, won't know what, with this person, fired him. And then I just started hearing the stories too, like engineers just falling out left and right. So I honestly didn't even want to work with them, because I already heard the stories, and I'm like, damn, there's I don't know what's going on, but I know engineers ain't doing good over there. And that's when they hit me up to engineer, and I'm like, damn, I don't think initially I said no, man. I ain't gonna lie. Initially I said, nah, I ain't gonna do this. We kind of like creatively, what's the word? I think what happened was there was a creative chemistry there that probably I didn't anticipate. I was a fan of some of the stuff they were doing, but I didn't necessarily think I could work with them or be a part of it. And then when I got in there and I started working, and I was like, all right, homie's on my time. Like, we're talking about Wayne now. He changed. He started really spitting, and he started like being in there all night, every night. I mean, you could hear the change. We talk about the change during the era, from Hot Boy Wayne to Carter 2 mixtape Wayne. So that whole change was happening, and I didn't fully get it because it was in motion. He wasn't in final form yet. But when he started catching my ear with the new bars and the new beats and shit, we clicked. I was like, all right, this might work, because he's really spitting. I really like these beats, and he want to be in here all night, like really trying to run these bars up. And I told you earlier I was into the battle rap, so we had a whole crew of battle rappers. I was always into that shit, bars, punchlines, battle rapping. I didn't think that's what Wayne would ever be into. You know what I mean? Coming from the Hot Boy era, I didn't think he would be into any of that kind of shit. And he got into that kind of shit pretty damn good. And we clicked while we were in the studio. There was just chemistry. I would want to be in there even if he wasn't there, just to hear beats and try to pick the best one before he got there, to show him the best one. Shit like that. I think the hunger was just like in the building. Everybody there was just a hunger there. I'm like, all right, we all hungry the same. This gonna work because everybody here hungry. This was right when Carter 3 dropped. This is at the height of his career, peak final form, arguably, because he's still doing his thing. But yeah, that's right when that one dropped. So it was like crazy times, and I couldn't understand why no other engineer wanted to work with him at the time. I'm like, yo, he's the biggest thing. This is the biggest album out right now. What do you mean you can't find an engineer? Then I understood. Once I got in there, I'm like, all right, I get it. I think what I thought going in was I wanted to take and give as much as possible, because he's doing something different, and I don't know some of the things that he's doing and how he got to this point. And I was doing some things different too that I feel like he could, benefit from. So right when we started working, I was taking L's. I ain't gonna lie. Like the first day, cause you know, with a new artist, y'all don't really know each other. You don't know how he punches in or what his safe word is to punch in. You know, every artist be in there like run it back or whatever they say. Everyone got something. One more game, one more time, bring it back. So I didn't know his words that he was saying. So the first day was a L. I didn't know what he was saying. Artists who are at that caliber, sometimes they don't really even say it fully what they want. They'll just say like one word. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna say right there where I said this, can you bring it back 2 bars and punch? They're not gonna say that. They're gonna say again. And you're supposed to know what they mean. So it was that. I was learning that from him. And then I would notice that he would punch in spots that maybe didn't sound good when it was time to edit. So I would stop him and be like, all right there, I got what you're saying, but just say like the couple words before so that I could edit the breath right. And we kind of clashed a little bit at first, but then I would show him. I'll be like, okay, punch him in, and I would show him, and he would hear the pop. And back in the day, you could double it and cover those up. You know what I'm saying? You could just add the stack, ad lib, and you don't even hear those. But we got to a point where we weren't doing ad libs. We weren't doing no background vocals. There was no doubles. Y'all know what it was. We were just barring. So the punch-ins were really pop. They were really, you could hear them. They would stand out. So I kind of showed him how to hide those a little bit. And I learned how he does it on his head as well. So it was like, what's the phrase is a sword sharpens sword or whatever. So he was sharpening me up while I was sharpening him up a little bit. That's like kind of what I felt going in. I'm like, I want to learn as much as possible, and if there's anything I can give to them, I want to give it too, as soon as possible too, because this dude's at the top of his game right now. We ain't got no time to waste. It was nerve-wracking and intimidating most of the time, which might be bad for creativity, but that's kind of what it was. I would just try to push myself to go further every night on whatever it is, you know, whether it be record more, you know, mix better, work longer tonight, or whatever it was. It was always like a challenge and some form of intimidation to get the challenge accomplished. That's sort of what it felt like. Like, all right, we got a song tonight, and it's not like, oh, let's have a good time and we gonna. Nah, it's like we gotta murder this shit and get it done, or else, or else, and that or else is like at me, like you better get that shit right or else, type of shit. So it was just constantly pushing yourself to your limits, and a high pressure environment, very intimidating, unfortunately. It's not, while you're in it, the fans, they think you feel like them. So while you walking around the street, Miami, talking to your family or whatever, everyone's like, oh, they think you're enjoying the show. Nah, man, we're working the show. Like, I get it, you know, but it ain't like that in here. We're not just dancing and lit and what you doing out there to the songs. That's not what we're doing in here. Like, we working while y'all partying to the songs. I think Drake even have a line like that in there, all night working while they partying to the shit he making or whatever. I think you say that in one song. That's kind of what it's like, man. We just working all night and everybody else partying. Me, at least. The 6 foot, 7 foot session was a fun session. That was a dope session. We were just talking about that song and Corey Gunness. That was a dope session. I think he had just gotten out of his little stint in the island, and that was like one of the first tracks he did. And he just came in, and it's like not seeing, you know, your baby for a year. I mean, him with the mic or the studio or whatever. So it's like the first thing that he laid down when he got out were all like, the energy was just high level energy, and like Corey was in the studio, everybody was excited to hear that shit come on. He killed that shit in like 2 or 3 takes, came out the booth, replayed it, everyone's like, oh shit. Corey goes in there, murders that shit, everyone's in there going nuts. It's just like a bar bloodbath in the studio, and he just got out, so we were all just excited to be back in there again. I think someone probably need to confirm this one, because I was too busy to even give a fuck at the moment. But when I recorded Bedrock with Everyone in Young Money, I needed a haircut bad that day. I probably needed a haircut the whole time that I was working with Wayne, because I was just in that chair with a hoodie on, letting my shit get crazy. But I'm in there looking wild as hell, and Nikki gets in the booth and she say the whole put this pussy on your sideburn line, and I'm in there like, damn, she got me. Like, low key just roasted me in the, like, nobody in the crowd, like, whoever heard the song don't know anything, it just sounds funny. But in the studio that day, my sideburns were on fire. Thank you, Nikki. And when she came out and laid it, I was so that I'm not even really putting the 2 and 2 together. I'm just like, oh yeah, she laid her line, like who's next? Like Tigers, everyone's in here. So I'm like, not even focused on that line. And then pretty much, I think after she like walked out is when I processed it. I'm like, oh, my sideburns were fucking kicking today. I need a haircut. The Forever song with Kanye, M, and Drake, we recorded that one on the tour bus. That shit happened real quick. I think we had the song already and we had like something rough laid down to it. But he said, pull it up. And I forgot who hit me. I don't even remember what album that song is on. But basically they needed it and we were on the road. And we pulled over, he laid it. A couple days after, it was out. And M, Drake on that shit, Kanye, Wayne. I'm like, man, I just recorded this in the back of a bus a couple days ago, and look at this crap. That's a tour store, and the turnaround was quick too. I was like, man, I just did that on a bus. I don't even think I got credited for that one. I don't think I got no credit for that one. It's all good. What are the tour stories? First of all, just seeing how the whole team puts together that stage is amazing for me. The first day I walked through the venue, the organization of all these people, like all the speakers going up and everything, all the wiring and all the pyrotechnics, lighting, the screens with graphics, like the hydraulic lifts on the stage, dancers and choreography, the band. I was impressed. I was like, all right, damn, this is hard work. Everyone got to be on point together. If not, the whole thing falls apart. So I was pretty impressed with that early on. The groupies are great. Honestly, I stayed away from that because I was so focused on my work, man. I didn't want anything distracting me. But those lobbies would be filled, bro, and there would be stragglers in the hallway. Like, yo, you could just, like 3 a.m. you could open your door and look down the hall, and there'd be just like drunk stragglers just looking for someone, not even really knowing where they're standing. That's crazy. I had to like stop people from coming in my room at times. Like one time someone just randomly knocked on my door. I opened the door, it was like a girl, like, oh, they locked me out of my room, can you let me use your phone and this and that. I'm like, No, get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. And they're sneaky too. Them girls, they'll show up after the concert. They might follow a bus, see what hotel the bus pull up to, go to the lobby, see the last dude to get off the bus, the lighting guy or a chef, go fuck with him and then get the info out of him. Like, oh, so you get, and then the chef be like, yeah, he's in his room. I gotta go give him his food. Oh, so that's the room he's in. That's where we gotta go, girls. The 6th floor. Next thing you know, they all on that 6th floor. Found your stupid ass. So you gotta be careful out there, man. Gotta be very careful. That's how you end up with a kid. A kid by someone you hardly even know on the other side of the world. No names. Yeah, it's a dark industry. Man, I feel like everything's coming to light, and I'm not gonna be one to start throwing the ditties under the bus, but that's the way it be. Whatever you reading, that's probably really what it is. I know if I said anything about it 5 years ago, nobody was listening. So, you know, anything I say ain't gonna matter anyways. Y'all gonna need 100 girls to come out with bruises and videos and court cases before y'all believe anything I say, unfortunately. So, it ain't my job to expose anything. But one thing that sucks is that there's a lot of enablers in the industry. So like, everybody might know what's going on and nobody gonna say shit. And then one person gonna pop out and say something, and then a bunch of victims gonna pop out and say, y'all see what's going on, man. Y'all see what's going on. It's a dark place. I don't know. I feel like once they know how to take advantage of people who want to be famous, I guess. You know, like the industry knows how to sell dreams and take advantage of people. And I've never been into that kind of shit. And unfortunately, a lot of people thrive in that kind of energy. A lot of people like really thrive because for every victim you see that comes forward and exposes some dark shit, there's probably 1,000 other people who were about it. Who ain't gonna say nothing. Who did all that they say, oh, you do this, I'll make you famous. They said, okay. Boom, and they did it. And then they're famous. So for every one you see that comes out and say, oh, I got pissed on and this and that, there was 100 other ones who got pissed on as well, and they got a hit record out right now. So some people are down to do whatever to be in those positions. Some people are not victims. They're consenting adults who are about that life and are willing to do whatever they want to get to those spots. She Will was a dope session. She Will. I don't know why it kind of brings back memories of a dope session. I don't think I got anything really stored specifically about the session, but it was a dope session. I remember we all liked the song, and that shit was just looping, and we already knew it was gonna be a hit before Wayne even finished his verses. We heard Drizzy's hook and the beat, and we were just like, this is out of here. We thought it was out of there before it was even done. What other ones were like that too? Which is the one with the Future on it? The one that just went diamond. We kind of knew that one was out of here too. I got that good cushion alcohol. Right when we got that shit, we knew it was out of here. You just hear the beat and you hear Future say that shit. We knew it was that. Without even hearing what Wayne wrote yet, we were like, there's one. Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. All you can do is make this better. There's no ways you can fuck this up. All you can do is make this better. Mega Man, that was a dope one. I like those. Those are the ones that I like. When he starts going crazy, mixtape Wayne style, that's when I'm there. When you start doing experimental singing and auto-tune and trying to, experiment too much, you never know. Sometimes they be big, but them bar songs that you're just going off on the beat, that's what I'm about. And at the time, I thought it was dope that we were doing that when no one else in the game was really doing that and making it a part of their formula. Like at the time, the formula was a 3-minute song, intro, hook, verse, maybe a bridge, a hook, twice, and out. Like, there was a formula at the time. And with Wayne, some of them songs were just not that. It was just verse, 3 minutes, done, we out. Maybe the last thing he says is catchy enough to call it a hook or title the song that, but it's not like he really laid a whole hook on it. And that's like underground hip hop kind of stuff. So I was really excited to see that kind of hip hop on the charts, like right next to pop artists. Like, bro, we don't even got a hook. We don't even got background vocals. We just laid that one track, and we out here with it. That was exciting for me. I used to love making them do that. Like we sometimes we'd get a beat, and they'd go, "Oh, loop the hook. We're gonna write a hook," and I'd be like, "Nah, just go off." I'd pressure him to do that. Like, nah, fuck the hook, bro. Just go. Sometimes he'll lay like a 16 and maybe run it by me, and I might say, like, just keep going, bro. I was like, you like the 16 for the hook right here? Just keep going, bro. Let me get a double track. No. Ad-lib. No. It's a hook. No. What are we doing? We're spitting. Just keep going. I used to love that shit. I used to love that shit so much. And also all my friends out here, like the underground squad that we had, all the battle rappers and shit, like we didn't discuss this, but I know a lot of them were enjoying that shit too, even though it wasn't like our genre, like, mainstream hip hop, top 10, pop, crossover hip hop ain't really my shit. I like underground hip hop, and all my friends do too. So I know they were like, man, Wayne's kind of spitting like an underground head right now. He's just going off, and it's topping the charts. So it was crazy. It was exciting times. And I wouldn't expect it to come from a hot boy either. Like, man, how the hell one of the hot boys going off like this on these beats? It's crazy. Honestly, I don't really like any of the joints I produced with him, to be real. I feel like I may have dropped the ball a little bit in that area. He was working on that Rebirth album when I first started working with him, as well as I'm Not a Human Being and the Carter 4, all at the same time. But it was about Rebirth coming out first, so he was asking me for like rock beats, and I ain't gonna lie, I didn't really like them, dog. I ain't like them. I'm gonna be honest, and I think there's one out there that I did, and it's cool, but I don't really like it. I'll be honest, I don't really like it. I did another one called BANGER. That's on I don't know what the album is on. That one's cool too. It's just weird noises and a lot of bass. It's kind of old though, so like, I don't know, I feel like the sounds change. And right now, I'm not excited about anything that I've previously produced, unfortunately. I'm eager to produce something new. I'm not happy with anything that I've done production-wise yet. So I'm guessing that might be what's next, What I'm hoping to be next for me is more better production. Oh well, there's one that kind of slaps, but it ended up on a mixtape. It's called Devastation with Gutter. Yeah, that one's kind of hard. It's just on a mixtape though. It's called Devastation. I think they did one called Demolition, and I kind of kept that series going between him and Gutter. I think they got Demolition 1 and 2, and then they laid this one and it kind of was on the same vibe, so I'm like, call it Devastation. So every time Gutter and Wayne do like an underground song, just going crazy together. Those just sound hard. There's one I did that's dope as fuck that never got put out anywhere, and it's on my SoundCloud, probably illegally. It's called, I think it's called Tunchi, or that's what they call me. That's what it's called. That's what they call me, man. Tunchi. That's what they call me, man. Big dog, motherfucker. Use a Pomerang. That's just on my SoundCloud. If y'all want to hear it, go to SoundCloud, whatever.com/Mike Banger to hear some exclusive Wayne shit that you can't hear nowhere else. That shit is probably the tightest one that I produced of his too. It just never got put out nowhere. Unfortunately, I don't know why, because that shit tight as fuck. He didn't pay, so we stopped working. I stopped working because he unfortunately was not paying me. Sad to say this, but never one time I thought about this shit. And it's crazy when I came to the conclusion. I'm like, damn, for real? Not one time, the whole time I worked for him, which was like 5 or 6 years, I don't really know exactly. More or less, something like that. Not one time did I ever get a check on time, in full, or without bouncing. Not one time. I never got paid, not one time, on point by those people. And when I would raise concern, they would give me the runaround. They would say, yeah, it's coming in this or something, or contact this person, or did you talk to the accountant, or did you hit up the manager? And, oh, we got to have a meeting and this and that. And I saw that they were kind of doing that. And like, I was looking at my clock. I'm like, man, it's been 2 years of this. And I've been here for 5, 6 years. And if I'm trying to advance in my life and career, like I said, I want to produce. I want more, not less. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to work for a raise, you know, for a bonus, for a, you know, a promotion. And I'm like, dog, I'm not even getting the bare minimum of the entry level position. So and we at the top right now. We at the top. So there's no excuse for this. So I'm like, man, if this the top, it can't get no better than this nowhere else. Like, for real, I'm not gonna get paid. This the top, bro. This the top. I'm not gonna get paid. I gotta go, man. I gotta go. And what happened was, I didn't even quit. They went overseas. I forgot what country it was. It was during the holidays. It was like Christmas or something like that. And they're like, yeah, we need you in, I don't know what country it was. And they sent me flight information. And I was going to be gone in another country for 3 months without getting paid and without having paid my bills at home. So there was a good chance I was going to come back from those 3 months to all my shit repoed. If I would have gone on that plane to another country without getting paid and leave my crib unattended, don't pay my mortgage, just walk out, leave my car parked somewhere, and I'm not paying my bills, and I'm just in another country, dog, when I got back, I would have gone back to probably nothing. Probably nothing. Probably my crib repoed, a court case for some bill or something. So I said I can't go because I haven't gotten paid. And they could have sent me my money right there when I said that, and they didn't. They stretched it out. They didn't believe me. They acted like I was asking for more than what they really owed me, when I had invoices with everything, all the hours. Like, every song I ever worked on is written by the hour. Like, you could look at one invoice and see the 3 songs that I worked on, what time I started and ended each song for 5 years. I have that information every day. And we were 2 years behind at the time. So I couldn't afford to move forward anymore with them. I had to stay home and figure out how to pay my bills. And they didn't pay me for another year after I raised the concern and said that I couldn't go. So I was fucked up, couldn't pay my shit, couldn't make the tour. And then a whole other year passed that they just left me fucked up without getting paid. They could have just paid me and I would have been on that plane. Wayne, you could have just paid me and I would have been on that plane. That's how I should do this. Because this probably gonna get around, motherfuckers gonna watch. Wayne, you could have paid me and I would have been on that plane. I ain't talking to nobody else. Shout out Birdman. I feel like the kind of people that we are makes us get, this might catch some fucking backlash, but I think people know how important we are. I just think we don't have the rock star mentality. We're content with being behind the scenes, and we just happy to be a part of something that's bigger than us, and that's where we get taken advantage of. That's where we get taken advantage of. It's not that they don't know how much we're worth. It's that they know that we'd probably do it anyways. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, engineers are usually docile. They're not huge personalities. You got to be able to work with artists and not bump heads too much, and know how to like make it through, you know, difficult. We kind of know how to stay quiet when things going bad. We know how to stay quiet when things going bad, act like nothing going on, and keep it moving forward. And next thing you know, there's a hit song on the radio. So I feel like unless we grow balls, bro, and start throwing hands in the studio, ain't shit gonna change, bro. Straight up. And that's why it ain't because we don't got a union. It's not because we don't have representation. It's not because engineers not. It's because we're working with very volatile personalities that are celebrities. They got that personality. We don't. And they know how to walk all over us, bro. So, and it's like, you don't want to get fired. We don't want to get fired, so we don't want to say too much. We don't want to ask for our money up front in a crazy way because we think we're, you know, rocking the boat too much. And we're just always like trying to get accepted and get paid finally. And that's, I don't know, man. I really don't know how to explain this shit. But it sucks. I know what you're talking about. And it sucks. Engineers are not undervalued, bro. Everybody knows exactly how much they need us. We just might not have enough balls to be slapping them up for our bag. Yeah, at a certain point, they definitely should. If you're working with an engineer, let's say you travel a lot and you use a different engine. If you're the type of artist who can work with any engineers, any studio, then maybe not. You know, maybe not. Yeah, pay everyone. Every time you stop and use a studio, pay them. But if you can't work with anybody except for one engineer and he recorded your whole album, yeah, he deserves points. Are you kidding me? What? That's not even a question. And I don't know if there's engineers out there that are getting their points. I didn't get none. I don't think I could have. I don't really know anyone who does get points. I definitely do think, bro, if you sit with an engineer for your whole album and he records that whole album, he should get points on that album. If you just did one song and then another song over here, no. But if you know who your guy is and he got your sound on lock, give him points, bro. Multiple points. Not fucking half a point. Give him. He should be eating. If anything changes in that, your ass is on the line. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a singer or a rapper and like we got this sound and I'm on a roll, why would you fuck that up? How would you fuck that up? Hell yeah. Give your engineer a point. Don't fuck that up, man. Keep that roll going. If he's happy, you happy. If he's not happy, trust me, he's making plans to make his next move. Whether you know it or not. He gonna make his next move and someone else gonna pay him. It might be a local artist, independent, who pays me more than an A-list celebrity. And it's happened before, just recently. I'm going back to the independent route mentality. Like I was there at a local level, and then I did some records that broke nationally, and then I got in the whole major circuit. But after experiencing all that, I'm like, man, it might not be it there. It might. I'm happier in the underground with indie artists. I ain't even gonna lie. That pressure ain't there. People pay on time. But shit, honestly, I'm learning with the indie shit. I know how to move at like a local level, but I want to move big in an indie way. You know what I'm saying? I want to learn how to get to the other side of the world independently. And I think that's way more valuable than being with a major, man. Well, I built the studio so people can always book the spot. I could always be recording and mixing. There's gonna be that always going on, recording and mixing in the spot. I'm also still booking freelance as well, because my spot's kind of like a mid-sized personal project studio. So I'm still doing freelance in major spots, which is actually how I prefer to work. We have at Bang Lab right now. This is basically my basement. I built everything in the crib so I can make beats whenever I want or mix whenever I want. And I got people locally coming through, record here. We're starting to do events here now too. Just did an album release party. We got the Cypher going on this Sunday. We just gonna have a bunch of MCs ciphering, play some beats, open mic. I just felt like doing that. I'm doing it for fun with a couple heads that I know in town. And beats, man, I want, like I said, man, I want to get into that. I want to break into that production bag, bro. That's what's next for me. And some points. We were talking about that too. That's what's next for me. Because I already did everything we just talked about. So I don't want to do it again. I want to, progress. So hopefully the next project that I get that's mixing or recording, we can get some points like we talked about. And hopefully I can add some production on some big projects too in the future. And we'll be developing local indie shit here in my spot as well. Hopefully one of those pops off too. I would love actually for somebody from my hometown to pop off next and to be there, to help put that through. You can go to my website, mikebanger.com, Twitter, X, whatever, Mike Banger, pretty much everywhere. Mike Banger, what am I on Instagram? Oh, there's a fake Mike Banger on Instagram, so you gotta go to It's Mike Banger on Instagram. The regular Mike Banger, that ain't me, that's somebody fake. Yeah, hit me with a DM. The website got email contact. You could hit me up with an email, shoot me what you're trying to work on, and we'll go from there. You could DM. The studio got a page too, Bang Lab Studio. And that's it. Email, DM, shoot me a tweet me, whatever it is. We get it done. Shit, if you're trying to get into this, what I would say, if you love it enough, everything and anything that happens, like, kind of not gonna matter. Cause I mean, I'm still here, we still pushing, and I still love it just as much. But like, it's not gonna go the way you planned, and it's not easy. And if you want to really be in this, you probably gonna have to be up all night working for free for a couple of years before somebody decides to give you a check. And even then, you may not get your check on time, and that shit might bounce. You feel me? So it ain't easy. Even at the highest level, it ain't easy. Getting paid ain't easy at the highest level. Stay healthy. Stay healthy as well. Don't be doing what your clients are doing in the studio. They might go to the club. They might be doing drugs, drinking, smoking, all that, fucking. It's not that ain't your job. Your job is to press record and make it sound good. That's all. Sure, yeah, you could probably partake in some of that activity, but you're gonna be tired the next day. You're gonna fall asleep on the chair. You're gonna want to go home earlier than everybody else. You're gonna feel it. So if you stay away from all that, stay focused. Just come in and get out on your time, scheduled time. You can preserve your energy, last longer when you're supposed to be doing this shit at these levels for these amount of hours. Like, you can't afford to be partying and letting your health go. Yo, what up? This Mike Banger. Respect the vibe.